Give me a second here. Shalom, giving all praise to Yahweh Shemel, Shabbat Shem Kakadash. I put in Christianity and slavery, and a bunch of sites popped up. Anyway, I'm going to entitle this video, They Use the Bible to Justify Slavery. And we also use the Bible to justify slavery. So why would Christians get mad with the fact that we're saying that pursuant to the scriptures, the Bible, when we say that a certain people will experience slavery under another people, if you, the first that came over to America, I'm talking about you Europeans, which are Edomites, you had slaves. Well, the first thing that you did was you came against the tribes that were already over here, from Canada to the US, down to Central America, down to Southern or South America. And you either killed them or enslaved them or colonized them or went to war with them in the name of Christianity, in the name of your God. Anyway, I don't think I'm going to make this that long. Let's see where the Spirit takes me. Okay, the Harvard Gazette, slavery alongside Christianity. Student exhibition probes ties, tensions between them during American bondage. I'm not going to read the whole article. If I remember, I'll leave the link in the description box. It says, in the modern era, Christianity and slavery are seen as oxymoronic. But for much of Christian history, many saw no conflict between keeping the faith and keeping or trading slaves. Keeping the faith and keeping or trading slaves. So the people that the Europeans, the Edomites that came over here to the Americas, especially focusing on the South, they were slaveholders. George Washington, he had slaves. And the exact number, I can do the research on it. The so-called founding forefathers had slaves. And they were also Christians. When they took down the tribes of the Northern Kingdom, they took them down. They did it, and they thanked the Most High. They thanked their God for it, for blessing them. So, I mean, what's the big deal in us saying that? Because were they right? Of course they were right in taking us down. It's called manifest destiny. It's called the Monroe Doctrine, just to name two. Look up the Monroe Doctrine. Look up manifest destiny. which they said that we're justifying doing this thing. It's no different than when the sons of Israel were redeemed from ancient Egypt or Mizraim, and the Most High, and they were in the wilderness for 40 years. The Most High said, "Okay, now you're going to get the promised land." The promised land was the land of Canaan. And the Most High told them to go and smite them, utterly destroy them, make no agreements with them, make no contracts with them, just destroy them. Don't take their silver or their gold. Don't take anything from them. Just utterly destroy them. And they were justified. They were justified in doing it because of something that was said in the book of Genesis, the 9th chapter, in which you have Edomites, Europeans. When you speak about, slavery and why did you enslave us, they'll reference the Bible, and they'll reference, their main reference is Genesis, the 9th chapter. We took you down because you're the Canaanites. We're not Canaanites. We're Shemitic Hebrew Israelites. Just like you're Semitic Hebrew Edomites. Red Hebrew Edomites. It says in the modern era, Christianity and slavery are seen as oxymoronic, but for much of Christian history, many saw no conflict between keeping the faith and keeping or trading slaves. From the 1st century until the Civil War, the Bible itself was often used to justify slavery. To justify slavery. And we take a look at this word, justify. Okay, justify. Definition. Show or prove to be right or reasonable. Be a good reason for. Declare or make righteous in the sight of God. So you can go to any of these sites here, that'll pretty much say the same thing. Show or prove to be right or reasonable, be of good reason for, declare or making righteous in the sight of God. And this is what you Edomites are afraid of. Like I said, I'm not going to read this whole article. I'm going to just jump around a little bit. It says the unsettling relationship is the focus of an exhibition at Harvard Divinity School, and over Harvard Theological Library. The yoke of bondage, keyword, yoke, Christianity and African slavery in the United States features more than 20 documents, including rare books that range from 1619, when the first slaves were brought to Virginia, to the Civil War's end in 1865. The text analyzed the debate during the period, and the debate is whether this thing was justified. and Christians at that time and Christians today. Oh yeah, no, it was all right. The Lord told us to do this. So guess what? The Lord is telling us to do what we're going to do. You have to wake up to the fact that he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. Vocab. Well, that doesn't mean what it says. All right. Okay. Among Christian theologians, authors, and adherents who either justified slavery or stood against it. While it has the thorough look and feel of a professionally curated exhibition, The Yoke of Bondage was organized and put together by the 10 students taking Christianity and slavery in America, 1619 to 1865. That was in the midst of the Civil War, a first year college seminar. Let me read this paragraph here. On view through March 15, the exhibition includes pamphlets, sermons, abolitionist speeches, poems, and personal religious narratives of enslaved men and women. The works were laid out by theme in 4 cases with the writings of a Black Christian author at the center. That case gives voice to former slaves such as Frederick Douglass, Nat Turner, and Phyllis Wheatley, a slave in Boston who became the first published African American female poet and was emancipated. Emancipated doesn't mean set free. Emancipated means to be given over, handed over, and that you were handed to, you were slaves of these Edomites in the South, and then you were handed over to the federal authorities. So you became slaves to them. Go to the Constitution, the amendment to the Constitution, read the 13th and the 14th Amendment. You're still slaves. This is why they damn near force you to take that vaccination. It says shortly after her first book appeared. In the other cases are works by authors who use biblical passages to support their position on slavery, and works by supporters of the anti-slavery and abolitionist movement, including an anonymous pamphlet assuring readers that good Christians could own slaves. Good Christians could own slaves. Well, we're good Israelites, and we can own slaves too. Where is that at? Okay, I wanted to go here. And they did mention Genesis. Bear me for a minute. Okay, let me go right here. It says another work on display is Josiah Priest slavery as it relates to the Negro or African race. Published in 1843, the book defends slavery. Defends slavery. This is what you Christians, when you Edomite European Christians had slaves, you justified it. You didn't say that you were wicked. This is a wicked act. This is against the law. No, you justified it. You went to the scriptures. Said there's nothing wrong with having slaves. So we say the same thing. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. Captivity. He that leadeth killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. None of you Christians can get around that argument or that precept that I just quoted. This is simple, man. This is easy. It said the book defends slavery. Anytime you deal with a Christian, an Edomite Christian, always go into slavery. Because that's why they focus their attention on us. Because one thing that we say is that you're going into slavery, that the Bible says it. So we're justified by it. So get that in your mind, man. Enjoy yourself in the last few seconds of your Edomite kingdom. The book defends slavery using narratives from the book of Genesis, which in particular, the book of Genesis, chapter 9, verse 25. Priests argued that God created black people to be slaves. The reason why the Most High created so-called black people are to be slaves for the so-called white people. Well, that's a goddamn lie. The Most High created Esau to be slaves to Jacob. Go to Genesis. Genesis 25:19. And read down. The elder shall serve the younger. It says, I'll read it again. Priests argued that God created black people to be slaves, citing Noah's curse on his son Ham, which were not Hamites, who priests claim had black skin. Yes, Ham did have black skin. His sons did have black skin, but the sons of Shem had so-called black skin too. Okay, so now let's go to Genesis 9, verse 25. Genesis 9. Where am I going to start? Okay, start at 19. Genesis 9, verse 19. These are the three sons of Noah. By the way, Noah is Nawak, which means comfort or comforter, and of them was the whole earth overspread. So every person that you see, you go out to your job, you get on the train, you hop on a plane, you go to the movies, you go to the mall, wherever you go, any person that you see, whether it's an East Indian, whether it's a Native American, whether it's a Chinese person, Japanese, Korean, African, Arab, Negro, they all stem from one of these three sons of Noah. It says it, and Christians don't even understand that. So everybody that you see, Chinese, Japanese, East Indian, European, they can all be identified in the scriptures. Their line all goes back to, or they descend from one of these three sons. It says that Noah began to be an husbandman, and he planted a vineyard. and he drank of the wine and was drunken, and he was uncovered within his tent. Now, some people, when you home by yourself, you're drinking, you might have your pants off. You know what I'm saying? You might be getting ready to go to bed. You have your pants off. Might have a t-shirt on, a pair of underpants or whatever, with your socks on. You drinking. You happy. Something happened. You happy about it. Well, Noah, he was, but he said, man, I had to go through this whole thing about going through this deluge, that he thought in the back of his mind that whether he was going to make it or not. And so when he made it, pursuant to the promise of the Most High, he felt he wanted to feel good, feel nice. It says, and Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father and told his two brethren out. In other words, mocking his father. And Shem and Japheth took a garment and laid it upon both their shoulders and went backwards so they wouldn't see, and covered the nakedness of their father, and their faces were backward, and they saw not their father's nakedness. So this was a grave sin that Ham committed. And Noah woke from his wine and knew that his youngest son had done unto him. And he said, cursed be Canaan. Well, wait a minute. Question is, if Ham saw his father's nakedness and mocked him and told his brothers, come and look at that. He's drunk as hell. He's drunk and he's butt ass naked. So they had respect unto his father. They couldn't look at his nakedness. Hey, if your father came in the room butt ass naked, you're gonna turn your eyes like, what the hell? So fucking Ham was the weirdo. And he's still the weirdo. The black sheep of the family. And he said, cursed be Canaan. He cursed Canaan. Why did he curse Canaan? A servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren. If you're a servant of somebody and you find something that's expensive, guess who owns it? You own it, because your property found something that becomes your property. He comes up with an invention, you capitalize on it because he's a servant. And he said, blessed be the Lord power of Shem. Now you notice he said brethren, but he said Shem. He didn't say Japheth, because who was going to get the blessing? Shem. It's going to come out of the line of Shem. Shem, Arphaxad, Peleg, Hebrew, Iber, Terah, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. So when did they get that blessing? When they came out of so-called Egypt, went into, they had to experience the wilderness for 40 years, and then they took down the land of Canaan. That was the promised land. So were they justified in taking down the land? You damn right. It said, and he said, blessed be Yahweh, the Most High of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. The Most High, 27 verse, shall enlarge Japheth. And that's the word Japheth means to enlarge. It doesn't mean beauty or beautiful. And he shall dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. And this is the fulfillment. Let me go here. Let me go a couple of. Bear with me for a minute. So we're giving you the clear understanding as to why we say your future is captivity under us. And we're going to be justified in enslaving you. And you're not going to be alone because all the other nations are going to be under us as well. Let me go right to the point here. Bear with me for a minute. I just want to get to the point. Okay, I'll start at 12. Genesis 15, verse 12. And when the sun was going down, deep sleep fell upon Abram, and lo, and horror of great darkness fell upon him. You could say he was in a coma. And he, 13 verse, and he said unto Abram, know of the surety that thy seed, now he had many seeds, but that seed, the chosen seed, came through Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. The sons of Jacob is that seed that came out of the loins of Abraham, or Abram at that time. Shall be a stranger in a land that is not there. Now you got Israelites out there that teach that that's talking about America. It's not talking about America. You even got some of the former One Westers, HODC teaches that it's talking about America. And that we were in actual Egypt for about 200 some odd years. So you know the Most High is not dealing with them. They're way off. And shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. That's ancient Egypt or Mizraim. And also that nation whom that they serve shall serve will I judge, and afterward shall they come out with great substance. Which is reparations. It says that they borrowed of the Egyptians. It says, it goes on and says, and thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace. Thou shalt be buried in a good old age. But in the fourth generation, they shall come hither again, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. Because ultimately, we're going to take down the Amorites and the Canaanites. Because while we were in Egypt, they were in the land, worshiping their gods. It says, 17 verse, and it came to pass that when the sun went down and it was dark, behold, a smoking furnace and a burning lamp that passed by between those pieces. In the same day, the Lord Yahweh made a covenant with Abram, saying, unto thy seed. And by the way, vocab tried to get slick and use the covenant of circumcision as a covenant with man, which is true, because in the kingdom of heaven, all the nations are going to have to get circumcised. So that has nothing to do with the covenant, the special covenant that he made with the sons, the line of Abraham. The Lord gave Abraham many covenants. 18 verse again, and that in the same day, Yahweh made a covenant with Abram, saying, unto thy seed have I given this land from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates. So you go check out a biblical map. The Kenites and the Kenizzites and the Cadmonites and the Hittites, which are all sons of Canaan, and the Perizzites and the Rephaims and the Amorites and the Canaanites and the Girgashites and the Jebusites. Now the Rephaims are also giants, physical giants. Let's look that up. Let's see if that's the case. Okay, giant, meaning actual giant. It says, which, Deuteronomy 2, verse 11, which also were accounted giants. That's actual physical giants, people that were 10, 11, 13, 14 feet tall. As the Anakims, but the Moabites called them Emims. So when you go to, if you notice the word giant here, you're not going to see Genesis, the 6th chapter, because Genesis, the 6th chapter, is not talking about giants. So you got to learn from us. The Philistines were also giants as well. Where am I? Like I said, if you go to an ancient map, let me pull one up. Bear with me for a minute. I'm sorry. I'll put in Bible. Put in Bible map. Should have put in biblical map, but let me go to images. Okay, right here. Okay, this is the blessing that we got. We were in the wilderness. That's Edom. The Egyptian body of water, the Red Sea, you got over here, and you got Euphrates over here. So we get all this land here. All this land here is ours. Then we're going to get it back again. Edom, Mount Seir. Edom was split, and they wound up in this region right here. You got Macedonia. You know, you got Chittim. Can't find Chittim. Wait a minute. We do this again. But this is known as Levant. Also, this is known as the Fertile Crescent. Terah and Abraham came out of here. Ur of the Chaldees. Abram went up to Haran and went down past the Promised Land in the land of Canaan into Egypt. So that's where he was. Anyway, I hope you learned something. Like I said, this is going to be a short video. With that, I'm going to say shalom.